like I said, before we get into this season wrap up and some awards here, Xavi out, Hansi Flick in. It's official. What's your initial reactions? Boog, I'm going right back to you.
I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago I said I was Flick in, right? It was me convincing you to take Flick, and it was him, the little British person, that he wanted to have.
What you just saw there was Booga searching for a radio-friendly thing to call Pablo on air here.
Yeah.
Literally, I was scanning my vocabulary list of 10 words.
He's like, what's not going to get me canceled on this podcast? Oh, okay. I'll call him British.
British. So yeah, I think I'm actually all in for Flick to join Barcelona. I, of course, do not endorse the whole way that we've come to this decision. I think that's horrible. It's atrocious. It's just disgusting. It doesn't make me want to feel any more proud for this team. It's done completely opposite. It's like, oh my God, am I representing this club? This an absolute mess. It looks terrible. It really, really does look terrible. That's on one side, right? I think we can get into that discussion as well. But in the terms of getting Hansi Flick in through the door, let's imagine that Xavi went through the big door open. He went, I don't know, winning. He went, okay, his tenure is gone. We don't care how it ended. But now we have Hansi Flick. I think, sure, I'm all for it. I think he's a manager that can actually particularly improve Barcelona in those things that happen backstage, behind closed doors. That's the sort of preparation that I think a team of this magnitude needs, particularly when it comes to getting back to the competitive level, to have that consistency week in and week out. Hopefully we can see that with this team, because this team is very volatile. It's like 1 week we are the best team in the world. The next week we are probably auditioning for playing in second division. So that's the sort of things that I think Hansi Flick can improve on that consistency. And I also do look at this squad, and I feel that there are some players that can adapt to him. Particularly for me, I'm most excited about Alejandro Valde. I think he can really improve under someone like Hansi Flick. He's very good physically. He can adopt that style of what Alphonso Davies did at Bayern Munich in that treble-winning season. So I think there's plenty to be happy about for Hansi Flick, and I'm sure we're going to do plenty of more analysis when it comes to it before the season starts. But yeah, welcome the German guy, and yeah, let's go.
Oof. Yeah, I'm shocked at the timing of it all, and I'm very curious to see if or how this divides the fan base, because Xavi was definitely the supporters were behind him. You heard some chants for Xavi in, Laporta out in their last match. So I'm just kind of curious how Laporta is gonna be able to spin this and get some support again, now that he is the man who has gotten rid of not only Lionel Messi, but now Xavi Hernandez as well. I mean, he's just getting rid of one Barcelona legend after the next. So I'm really curious what the reaction will be towards him. But if we look at Hansi Flick in a vacuum, I will give some credit to Buga. He made some very good points. What was that, 2 weeks ago? Or 1 week ago, I don't even remember. I remember the points.
I think it might have been 1 week ago, because I wasn't there for these points on the Flick program.
Okay.
No, we did one when it was a few weeks ago. It was when we did a little discussion of it was first time when Xavi left. When Xavi announced that, okay, I was going to leave, it was then.
I know it was just Buga and I, though, for sure. I remember that. I know he's known for a high press, attacking football. Quick build up, which when we get to keep, loan, sell, that's I've got one on the list that is directly related to that change. I don't know. I'm very curious. I'm a little bit upset because it feels like there's a lack of loyalty at the club right now. And it stings a little bit, but that just might be the cost of doing business and the cost of getting us out of this hole that we're in. So I got mixed feelings about it. I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens. I know, like Buga said, we'll be talking about this more as the summer progresses, but initial reactions, I'm unsure. If I'm going to be optimistic, I'll wrap it up here. Then Pablo, I want to get your thoughts. If I'm going to be optimistic about Hansi Flick coming in, it is a change, right? If we kept Xavi, nothing really is going to change in the transfer market. We got the same manager going in, the same players. What's going to be different next season? I don't know. With this, at least it's something different. It's not going to be the same team going into next season, good, bad, or ugly. We'll see what it is. I'm going to try to be optimistic about it, but it's going to be a different team. Pablo, how are you feeling?
Yeah, no, obviously the timing has shocked like a lot of people with maybe the way it was done. Obviously, Xavi asked to leave, asked to stay, eventually stays, and then a few weeks later is sacked. Obviously, surprised people. Yeah, maybe shocked people. I agree with your point, John, in the fact that maybe this was a decision Laporta needed to take anyway. You know, maybe when Xavi said, I want to leave, Laporta just said, fine, instead of saying, please stay, because maybe the performance this season hasn't been good enough. I personally probably think, yeah, it hasn't been. So I think that objectively, away from the way it was dealt with, I don't think the decision is a bad one at all. And this is almost like I don't know if it's an exclusive. I think it's one on the video of it, but we were with Laporta last night actually with the Femini, and he gave a little speech to the crowd. He was very animated, saying, being the president's not easy, but every decision we take is for the good of this team. And I do believe that. I do believe that that Laporta does want this team to do as well as possible. And I know obviously he's had his eye on Flick for a long time. I personally like Hansi Flick. I think it's a risk for Barca. I think Barca are very specific in terms of what coach works for them. Sometimes if you come in and play 4-2-3 on football, fast, dynamic, evade the midfield, that goes well over our heads and just doesn't work at the Camp Nou. But we'll see if it does this time around. And I get your point, John. If we kept Xavi, sure, we could have done great next season. But hey, maybe it would have been the same as this one. There's no reason why it wouldn't be. Real Madrid are only getting stronger. We clearly have dropped off quite a big cliff from last season to this one. And I think even Xavi himself has probably struggled to play the Barca way, actually. I think Xavi's best playing pragmatic football. I think that's probably a fact we're not able to hear as Barca fans, because he's Xavi Hernandez. He's like the pinnacle of beautiful football when he was a player. But really, I think Barca were best when they were a solid defensive side and they won games 1-0 under Xavi as well. That's how they won the league. And I think him trying to then go with like 2 fullbacks, 3 attackers, I think it's hurt him big time, actually, in terms of holding out results. So, yeah, maybe, look, the way I see it is I back Flick. He's won things before. I'm excited to see how he does. I really am. I am excited to see how Flick does. Weird, bizarre situation probably for the fans to take in, but let's hope it's the right decision and that Flick does well, because I do think he's a very good manager, and I think after this season, it's a fair decision.
I do agree with what Pablo says. Like, you can see Laporta, I think that he is like a fan in that position. And that's one thing that won't ever change. Like, he, of course, wants the betterment for this club. And whatever happens, you have to back him in saying, like, it's a bold decision. It's a bold decision in the sense that it's a manager that's not going to play the Barcelona way. It's a manager that has different approaches to the game. Like Pablo said, he's going to bypass completely the midfield. Like, it's gonna be a very big change for your Pedris, for your Gavis, for even for that CDM that we were looking for. You might not even need that sort of player in this formation as well. Like, he's just gonna jump completely from the defense to attack. He's gonna have the main wingers doing most of the job. You're gonna have that number 10 who's gonna be crucial and very, very important. So I'm excited to see what happens. I do like that sort of evolution. And Laporta is basically, with this decision, putting all the arrows, all the cameras, all the microphones pointed directly at him. And that's something that I feel it's very bold. It's something that you have to be admiring as an admirer of, because it's not easy to take that decision into account, right? He's basically going to be the make or break of Barcelona, and he's putting that all on his shoulders. And you just kind of have to respect that, right? And I just wanted to mention that actually, when you look at the way that the Barcelona way of football is played, it's been quite a while. I think that ever since Pep Guardiola, we have never been able to replicate that. You even take a look at Luis Enrique, and the midfield wasn't as hugely important. Like, it was Busquets recovering the ball, it was Rakitic filling the spaces for the wingers, but he was going the play through Jordi Alba, Dani Alves, and it was just simply leave the ball to Messi, Suarez, and Neymar and see what they can do. And it's a much very different team. Like the only team that have been able to replicate that control possessions, Manchester City of Pep Guardiola now, and you have that Pep Guardiola team back in 09, 010 and 010 and 11, right? So I think that's the start of the last time we actually saw that. So I don't know why we're clinging on to this idea, and I just feel that this squad can quite kind of benefit with Hansi Flick at the helm. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited to see how we do.
It's going to be different. It's going to be different. And it's still very new. So I think we got to give it a little bit of time. The transfer window is going to be opening up here in a couple of days. So